Hello, Dr. Moshe. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. How is the climate there?
Cold now becomes somewhat warmer, but we had a storm just a few days ago.
Oh, okay. The weather is changing, and that is because of environmental changes, right?
I guess I don't. It's winter too.
Yeah, because in some areas of Saudi Arabia, we have witnessed like it's everywhere. Ice is there, snow is there, and storms are there in taking place in USA, and people are pretty upset with the climate change things. And today's our topic again. It's about environment, and in particular, environment and Islam. What Islam says about environment, how sensitive Islam is about environment, and how Islam treats environment or value environment. That is today's topic, and I'm really thankful that you joined us for this podcast.
Thank you.
So I would like to invite you to talk about environment and Islam.
All right. So as I said in the podcast 2 weeks ago, Islam has some environmental values inherent in it. One of them is the Tawhid, that everything is really encompassing, that God is encompassing everything, including human beings,
Hmm.
including nature, including the environment around us. And therefore, and they put human beings as guardians of the environment. They are not rulers they are not
Ah,
rulers of the world. They are guardians of the world in Islam.
that's
Uh, because he gave the choice to the mountains, to others, whoever they want to be the guardians. They didn't want, only human beings wanted. So, but to be a guardian means to keep the balance.
right.
According to Islam, balance is very important. Everything is done in balance,
Hmm.
meaning water and rain is going down in balance.
Hmm.
Resources are balanced with human beings' needs. Everything is in balance in nature.
Hmm.
Now, if we violate this
Hmm.
balance, then there is imbalance, and then also the environment suffers as well as human beings.
Hmm.
And the one who does that, if it is a human being, that's a huge sin.
Hmm.
And so this is a part of the whole thing. And therefore, Islam is really one, I would say, one of even the greenest monotheistic religion in a way,
Hmm.
because it sprang in deserts without much resources.
Mhm.
If you look at the Quran, you will see the word water appearing
Hmm.
many times, a lot of times even.
Yeah.
And this means the importance of water to human beings, and before Islam, and of course after Islam, in the
Hmm.
environment it grew in, which is desert.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then there is also the that you need to really participate in taking care and the use and the accessibility to resources, natural resources,
Hmm.
like land, like fire, which is energy, and like grass, which is really the agriculture.
Hmm.
However, in the Arab world today and the Muslim world, it's mostly consists of deserts.
That's right.
And therefore, the amount of arable land that is in this part of the world is really about 11-10% of the
Hmm.
whole land,
Hmm.
which means that most Muslim countries cannot really sustain their food and water needs by themselves,
Hmm.
and they need to import them.
Hmm.
And therefore, there is a clash between the balance
Hmm.
between humans and nature. And now there is really a wish to change this balance so that this imbalance to create a new balance.
Hmm.
Now, what makes it harder to achieve this goal is the problem of population growth.
Right.
And the fact that really Islam doesn't have solutions to this issue.
Hmm.
Now, rulers, for example, in Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is calling now, is doing a campaign of only two children
Right.
for each family. It will not work because
Hmm.
in the countryside, people are very, traditional, and in
Hmm.
traditional Islamic societies,
Hmm.
you will have as many children as you can get.
Yeah. I have 4.
All right. For example, in Jewish families, there are many families, especially in Haredi families, that they have 9 or 10 or
Yeah.
11. So 4 is quite good.
Yeah. It sounds good.
Given
If this is the number of wives
right,
for kids we can tolerate the bigger number.
exactly. So there is this population growth which really puts a lot of pressure on
Hmm.
deteriorating environmental resources, natural resources like land, food,
Hmm. Hmm.
energy, and water,
Yeah.
especially in the growing cities.
Hmm.
So now there are many Islamic movements that try to, let's say, create a solution
Hmm.
to this environmental crisis that
Hmm.
Muslim countries are founding it themselves in.
Hmm.
And there are all sorts of solutions.
Yeah.
Um, if you take if you look, for example, let's begin with the Sufi point of view.
Yeah.
In the poetry of Jalal-ad-Din Rumi
Hmm.
from the 12th century, 13th century, sorry,
Hmm.
we can see a lot of mentions of environmental issues,
Hmm.
which means that what he saw as environment was something really not separated from human beings.
That's right.
He saw environment again as part of the Tawhid with God and human beings,
Hmm.
and also as companions of human beings
Hmm.
and signs of God that
Hmm.
are in animals, in other creatures, plants, and others.
Hmm.
So we saw environment as something very rich, very
Hmm.
fascinating,
Hmm.
that can really enrich human beings
Hmm.
and not only be for their service, but
Hmm.
again, it's their companion. They
Hmm.
need to treat it as their companion.
Hmm.
as part of the whole universe.
Hmm.
And it is very understandable because if we take Sufism, we see all the concepts of Mahaba, the love of God,
Hmm.
being trying to be part of God, being to really get closer as much as possible to God.
Hmm.
And you cannot do that without being in your environment.
That's right.
So it makes a lot of sense that Sufism will relate to environment very deeply.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
even
it,
Islam prohibits the tree cutting activities during war. They were always environmental friendly people, especially about the water reservoirs. Islam prohibits uh, people to violate the water reservoirs or demolish the water reservoirs. And there are so many sayings of Prophet about the water wells, and there is a lot of stories of appreciation where the Prophet has had appreciated the fellows who bought the water wells, and uh, they opened it for everyone, because at that time of uh, there was a water trade, uh, like the owner of the well was charging money for water. There were some examples of these kind of stories are there. So Islam always they Islam always advocates the environmental protection and set the
right,
rules for that. Yeah.
right. So now the issue is how you protect the environment across Islamic lines,
Hmm.
meaning there are many Islams, different
Yeah.
kinds of Islams.
Yeah.
Each one has another solution of
Hmm.
how to really protect the environment.
Hmm.
However, everyone agrees that Islam is the best
Hmm.
solution for protecting
Hmm.
the environment. The question is
Hmm.
how.
How? Yeah, that's the big question. That's the big. And Islam always advocates the protection of environment, and there are Muslims who are not protecting, but they are threatening the environment. So there is a difference between Islam and Muslims.
True. That's why
Yeah.
the podcast today is about Islam, not
Islam.
Muslims.
Yeah, that's
Although you will be surprised which Muslims, I will show that really want to protect the environment.
hmm,
But uh, let's begin with the Organization of Islamic Conference.
hmm, hmm.
This is the organization that really
Hello, Dr. Moshe
it
Alvin. Yeah, can you listen me?
really,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I lost you, so now you are back. So please continue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the Organization of Islamic Conference
yeah.
all the time announced its commitment to the Paris Agreement
Hmm,
and
hmm,
to get to the goals, to achieve the goals of climate change.
hmm,
And also, it really tries to work together in order to enhance the issue
hmm,
of environmental security,
hmm,
basically water security, energy security, and food
hmm,
security. Although it also deals with desertification, because as I said before, desert is consisting a huge part of most of the
hmm,
Muslim states, countries.
hmm, hmm,
So the Organization of Islamic this conference has really an environmental part to it. And it really tries to work together with all the member states in order to enhance joint activities and joint initiatives to protect the environment. Now, we are talking Muslims are comprising, I think, 25% of the population of the world today, or about this number.
Yeah.
They are the second or the first, I'm not sure, largest religion in the world. I don't know if second still or first, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
Because
guess
now there is a
Christians
lot
are
of
bigger
conversion
in the
to
number.
Islam.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, there are a lot of converts all around the world, also in the West, in Africa, in Asia, everywhere. So I'm not sure about the numbers. But let's say from what I know recently, it's 25%, more or less.
Yeah.
So if all the Muslim countries are uniting in order to tackle this environmental issue, it means really a lot for the whole world.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
With a religion as big as Islam is really uniting to save the environment, that's something that may be big.
Yeah.
So that's one activity that is being conducted. Other activities are that governments are employing imams or religious leaders in order to suit their policies and to deliver them to the Muslims in the various countries, either through khutbahs or through fatwas. So I will give an example of, let's say again, Egypt. Let's take Egypt. So there was a fatwa a few years back saying that it's not allowed to burn rice in Cairo.
Okay.
Now, the issue is that burning of rice creates air pollution and a lot of smog.
Yeah. That's right.
And therefore, if you burn it a lot, it creates huge air pollution, and then people are dying from air pollution. So in order to lessen the problem, the Egyptian government asked I think it was the Al-Azhar Mufti or someone else to issue a fatwa prohibiting the burning of rice. However, as we know, when you try to prohibit something that is already in tradition, it doesn't go so well. So they continued with it despite it, but again, this is just one example. Another example is the issue of saving water.
Right.
As I said before, water is very scarce in the Arab and Muslim world. Now you experience it in Pakistan as well.
Yeah.
So the issue is how to save water, not only how to solve the issue of the water scarcity, but how to save what there is. So here they use phrases from the Quran, which talk about again balance which talk about the fact that God gives everything in measure, including water.
Yeah.
And therefore we cannot really, spend it.
Yeah. Always.
We have, exactly. So we need to really use it wisely,
Yeah.
and to use every resource wisely, in a wise way. And all this is really part of many curriculums in the Arab world and the Muslim world, in schools, for example. And also, again, it comes again and again in khutbahs. And therefore, now in many Muslim countries, they are building green mosques,
Yeah.
which means photovoltaic solar facilities and water-saving machines in order not to waste.
Right.
So this is really a huge part of now what Arab and Muslim governments are trying to do, to use Islam in order really to create a sort of environmental security for, first of all, for themselves and their stability, but secondly, for the people themselves.
That's right.
Now, if we take, for example, part of, for example, a part of urban Islam, Islam in urbanic areas, are the gardens. You don't have almost cities without gardens. Muslim cities.
Yeah.
And gardens are very important, not only architectonically, but also religiously. Because in the Quran, it is mentioned a lot, the garden. Not necessarily the Garden of Eden, but the garden of the hereafter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where people reach to after they die.
Yeah.
And what expects them there.
Yeah.
So many gardens are trying to emulate not the Garden of Eden, but the Garden of the Hereafter. And just to do it in a very beautiful way, symmetric way, and also using water wisely. And you can see it also, again, if we turn to Pakistan, you can see it very much in Lahore.
Yeah.
The gardens there, also of the Mughal rulers, and also of Sufi shrines.
Yep.
But many of them have also gardens and are called really tomb gardens. And again, this is really a Sufi notion also, that the person is part of his environment. And therefore also the tomb garden is part of this notion. Now there is also the issue of nature reserves. So Haram and Harim. Harim is really for water resources, to protect water resources, and Haram is for natural resources. So the first Haram was Mecca and Al Medina. That's how it is specified in the Quran. that you cannot hunt there. You cannot really do there anything that upsets nature and the balance between nature and human beings. Now, and there is also harem, which is a pre-Islamic issue, and which means that you need also, again, because it's sprang out of the desert, you need to protect your water resources, or especially the communal water resources. Now, in order to do that, also in Saudi Arabia, for example, also in Indonesia, they are creating special natural reserves, both haram and harem, to protect both, for example, the rainforests in Indonesia and water resources in Saudi Arabia.
All right.
And if we turn now to another kind of Islam, we can still in the Sunni world, we can see radical Islam. One of the very huge proponents of environmentalism in radical Islam was Osama bin Laden.
Okay.
Osama bin Laden said few times, also in videotapes, also in a letter to the American people, that they must stop to waste, they must stop pollute, they must stop all this negligence of environment. And in 2002, he wrote that the US must be part of the Kyoto Agreement, and it's a shame it is not. Because it's one of the main polluters in the world. Later, he said in a videotape and in another letter to the American people that Obama should join the agreement on climate change, and even that the American people should make a revolution against the regime in order to help Obama, which was then chosen to be the president, to really get the US into the climate change. So bin Laden is a very surprising character who also used to destroy environment, but really was a huge fan of environmentalism. He was an environmentalist.
Wow. That's a compliment to bin Laden, by the way.
But yes, it's a compliment, but apparently, you know, we have the truth in the writing.
That's right.
So it's not something. So the issue is if he was a real environmentalist or he wanted to use environment to achieve his own aims. This is controversial, but because there is a lot of things he wrote concerning environmentalism and the importance of protecting the environment, it seems like he was really an environmentalist, which is hard to believe, but it seems like.
That's strange. That surprised me, by the way.
Yeah. Also, there is another Sunni movement which is called the Hizb al-Tahrir.
Yeah.
It was established in 1953 in Jerusalem. Its aim is to really create a whole caliphate, which encompasses the whole Muslim world and is ruled by Sharia law. Now, in 2009, they published a whole booklet
Hmm.
about the environmental crisis,
Wow.
in which, yes, it's about 50 pages.
Hmm.
They published it both in Arabic and in English.
Hmm.
And they said that the West and the Western culture are to blame for the environmental crisis of today.
Hmm.
And therefore, the only solution is Islam.
Hmm.
Only Islam can protect environment, and only under Sharia law.
Okay. So they built their argument for Khilafat through environment, or they used environmental sensitivity to build their argument as well.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And this is all because the environmental awareness is growing also in the Arab world and Muslim world and also in the West. And
Yeah.
therefore, all those radical Islamic organizations are really trying to use the environment in order to
Hmm.
achieve their goals.
Hmm. Hmm. Makes sense. That makes sense. Popular
Uh,
slogans are there. They always
yeah,
adopt popular slogans. Yeah.
yes, and we have also now in the Shia front,
Hmm.
we have the Aga Khan development,
Yeah.
which really it took the environmental issue very seriously
Hmm. That's true.
before many others
Hmm.
from the 1950s or 60s
Hmm.
when he created this foundation.
Hmm.
And it tries really to make development and protecting the environment as the caller ID of the Ismaili sect of the
Hmm.
Shia.
Hmm. Hmm.
And as you know, we did a lot in Pakistan as well in those issues,
Hmm.
especially in the northern part of Pakistan.
Hmm.
But he did a lot of development work, a lot of trying to train people how to
Hmm.
keep the resources safe,
Hmm.
uh, how to manage resources,
Hmm.
how to not deplete.
Hmm.
And is really part also of all this Paris Agreement and everything.
Hmm.
And again, we see, so both from the Shiite world and the Sunni world,
Hmm.
we see a lot more awareness about environmental issues, not necessarily because it is Islamic, partly yes,
Yeah.
like with the Ismaili or the
Hmm.
Aga Khan example,
Hmm.
but mostly not.
Hmm.
What they try to do is really to take Islam and use it in order
Hmm.
to keep the stability of the regimes,
Hmm.
and in order to do that, also to create some security for the people. And today, security for the people in this era means environmental security, that you need to really sustain all their
Hmm.
needs.
Hmm.
I mean, their basic needs, which is
Hmm.
food, which is water, which is energy.
Hmm.
In some parts, for example, in Saudi Arabia, in Oman, the desert just, covers all villages.
Hmm.
So people need to move from village to village.
Hmm.
It happens also in Sudan, in other places. So all those issues are also existent in the Arab and Muslim world. So those are
Hmm.
real issues that the
Hmm.
governments are trying to tackle, but they're also using Islam for that.
Hmm.
So as you said, not all Islam is not Muslims, and we need to
Hmm.
differentiate.
Yeah.
There are many Muslims who just use environment as a weapon,
Yeah, that's true.
like all the terrorist groups.
They all, they all.
But there are also Muslims, not only religious, I mean, not only imams and others, but also Muslims who care about the environment.
Yeah.
And then they create civil movements which are religious
Hmm.
in order to really take care of the environment
Hmm.
from an Islamic point of view. Not used by governments, but because it is something Islamic. This
Hmm.
is also going on,
Hmm.
also in Muslim communities in the West and also in the
Hmm.
Arab and Muslim world.
Hmm.
And they collaborate with each other.
That's right. That's right. So tell me, Dr. Moshe, one thing that what do you think, which is the country under threat, or if we make a list of countries, Muslim countries facing the environmental challenges or threats on which are the top three countries?
Depends on what issues. If we talk, for example, about scarcity of water,
Yeah.
one of them is Pakistan.
Mm. On top three.
Ah, no, it's not. I'm not sure it's on top, but I think it's on the very top. On top, but not on the very top.
Okay.
Afghanistan, Pakistan,
Yeah.
Jordan,
Okay, Jordan too.
Morocco,
Oh.
other countries as well. I mean, all the Middle East is really water scarce.
Hmm.
Almost all of the Middle East. Now even Turkey, in Istanbul, we don't know if
Yeah.
they will have water.
Yeah.
So countries that were once, affluent with water are not anymore.
That's true. That's true. There is no
Also in
life without water.
Pakistan, you didn't have this problem of water, let's say 30 years back.
Yeah.
So we are now in a changing world.
Yeah. That's right. We are now
And,
in a changing world. And
yeah,
I guess this is a big challenge for Pakistan. And while we have the glaciers in our country, but still we are not able to manage the water resources in a proper way. So that's a big challenge for us as well.
right. Right now, your president is trying to build a lot of dams.
Yeah,
Uh,
at least he's speaking about it. I wonder the biggest water reservoir of Kalabagh Dam is somewhere in the discussion or not, but I don't know. Yeah, but people are talking about this issue for some years, and they are doing something seriously, but it needs a lot to do.
yes, yes, this is a huge issue, especially
Yeah.
in Pakistan, where you have, a lot of people,
Hmm. We have a lot of
and there are
people.
not much water,
Hmm. That's right.
especially
That's,
when groundwater is depleting so fast.
that is a problem here. That is a problem here. That is a problem here.
So yes, also in India and also
Hmm.
in other countries in the area, Afghanistan.
Hmm. Yeah, Afghanistan has
Uh,
serious challenges.
yeah, and now they also are unblocking dams from
Hmm.
the Kabul River to Pakistan. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of issues also between countries, inside the countries.
The next wars will be because of water.
It may be, although again, we right now see a lot of issues concerning water. Let's give
Hmm.
an example: the Nile, in the Nile, the
Hmm.
Renaissance
Hmm.
Dam between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia.
Hmm.
There is no war going on
Hmm.
there, although you can say that the war that is now between in the Tigray region in
Hmm.
Ethiopia is part of it, but really Egypt is not going to go to a war with
Hmm.
Ethiopia. Sudan is basically in skirmishes with Ethiopian
Hmm.
forces, but not a blown out war.
Hmm.
So there is still no war happening there, and this is really one of the most tensed places now
Yeah.
concerning water issues. But also, you and India have some conflict.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we don't know. We just don't know what will happen.
Let's pray for the best. Let's pray for the best.
Yeah.
And this is something which one individual can do only, like we are doing, talking about it, creating awareness about it, making communities sensitize about it. But still, this is something which needs to be taken care on a mass level, on not on a community level, but on a national level or international level. And governments and states should be like, I really appreciate the American commitment that they appointed person like Senator Kerry, who is very seasoned politician, and they appointed him on uh, an environmental position to take care of environment, or to lead the policy of US environmental policy. This is something very serious which show their level of commitment. And I wish and I hope that my country and the fellow countries and the other countries, they take this environmental issue as serious as they can.
Yeah, by the way, just to say something, that
Yeah.
Pakistan is really different from other countries, other
Hmm.
Muslim countries. Pakistan is one of the only Muslim countries which has environmental courts.
Yeah, we have.
Yes, but not all Muslim countries have.
Yeah, that's right.
So Pakistan has this. The
Yeah.
issue is how efficient they are, I don't know, but
Hmm.
at least you have the
But
mechanism.
still, yeah, we still have the mechanism at least.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moshe, for being with us and enlightening us with the topic of today. And hope to see you soon. And I am sure that we will be discussing Red Sea next time. That is on our list.
Yeah. Thank you very
Th-
much.
Thank you for your time and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.